Hi, this is Maurice Odhiambo, the African teacher. So in East Africa, we are preparing for some two major events in the calendar of the integration process. These events are the East African Civil Society Summit, which is a civil society process that also involves officials from the East African community as well as partner states. Secondly, we are also we're just beginning to prepare for the 2025 Secretary General's Forum, even though that has not been officially confirmed. Now, I'm just reviewing one of the latest reports, which speaks about the issue of supranationality, the issue of partner states ceding power to the East African community, which is probably one of the most significant points of conversation as far as regional integration and even continental integration, so that you separate between the two. We have the regional economic community processes, which are supposed to gel, to deepen integration. And then it is these regional economic communities that are pillars of continental integration towards the creation of the African Economic Community. I am the chair of Kenya's National Dialogue Committee under what we call the Consultative Dialogue Framework. That is the framework that hosts the annual Secretary General's Forum. Last year, during the 2024 Secretary General's Forum, I did make a presentation and tried to make people see that in the absence of partner states ceding power to the East African community, and if you cascade that to the continental level, indeed to the African Union, then it will still be almost impossible to integrate Africa. So all these talks about borderlessness and so on will never really work unless we take a proactive stance to start creating bodies that can actually enforce compliance among partner states. If we do not do that, then it's all ado about nothing. But I'm just reviewing one of the latest reports. I've been involved in a lot of research on East African integration. And I'm just reviewing one of the reports, one of the latest studies that is pointing out an apparent contradiction between formal East African Community policy documents, which describe the East African Community Secretariat as a coordination, support, implementation, and monitoring body, and others which describe the East African Community Secretariat's role solely in terms of support and coordination. So those are two very different things, conceptually and in practical terms. This is linked to the protracted discussions over EAC institutional arrangements, where there's a debate over whether the organization should have more authority. So that is what I mean when I talk about the question of supranationality. And this will continue to haunt us. Theoretically, intergovernmentalism creates regional integration as a state-led process, not just state-led, but also elite-led process. Whereas other theories like new regionalism approach begins to construct regional integration from below. That means that citizens, people, have a greater say. Now, you cannot have a greater say as people, as citizens, say within the East African community, if there is no way of us participating in putting together institutions that then are answerable to us as citizens. So the East African Community, West Africa, the ECOWAS, SADC, all these have retained a state-led approach to integration. So that disempowerment of citizens and concurrently the disempowerment of the institutions of integration themselves is really the key thing that Africans, the African Union, those really who are committed to integration, because there are also those who are just playing political games, but those who are really committed to integration must cause some agreement on this issue. Otherwise, it will be upon citizens to revolt, because this integration will not go very far if its roots are still embedded within an elitist approach and an elitist thinking.